So if she's successfully taken a photo of me, and now I'm stuck in the photo itself, which is really weird, and I don't know who this person is. But in this video I'll be doing a little bit of repair work. No, I won't. I'll be doing some high jumping. No, I'm not doing that either. I'll be skipping on pavement that's got water on the surface. That's what I'm going to do. No, I'm not going to do that either. I'll be continuing with part 2 of the servicing of the Unitas movement. Inside it said 199 on the movement, which I think is the movement number. It says UT and a little symbol and then 199. I cannot find anything on a 199 movement, especially a movement that's got cap jewels on the third, fourth, and escapement. Third, fourth wheel and escapement, which is kind of odd. So they're capped. I show you how I remove that cap and oil that as well, and I do a little bit of work on the balance cock as well. So it's not as long a video, but I'm going to do part 4 a little later, or part 3 a little later, where I reassemble that watch and then get it running again and test it. So enjoy it, enjoy the video, and I got to get myself out of this photo. Do you mind? Do you mind? Do I really need to be in this two-dimensional world you got me stuck in right now? This is terrible. Anyway, bye. This is the Unitas 6497 movement. All the watch parts are clean with one exception, the main plate. So I still have to clean the main plate, and I still have to flip these plates over and do these cap jewels and jewels. I may try to do one under camera, but the first thing I want to do is actually wind in the mainspring. So all kinds of folks asking or wondering how you wind the mainspring in by hand. So you can do it. And I know I'm going to get in trouble for doing this because it's using my fingers. But I also saw folks that worked in watch factories back in the day doing this by hand. So it's not uncommon. And you do need the dexterity of your fingers to do this. This watch has got a small hook on the inside, so I've got to fit this in. This will slide into the hook, I'm sure, once it gets fitted properly. So I'm not too worried about its initial position, because when it turns, it'll end up sliding into the hook. So I need to put the first part in place, and I'm just going to go like this, put that in place like so. And then you have to wind the first part around. So I find it's hard to do with my hands up in the air, high up in the air, but we'll try it out. So I wind the first part around like that. And I left my thumbnail extra long here to get cases open and stuff. So I did notice it though, and it's getting pretty disgusting. So I think I need to trim that thumbnail before my wife thinks I've gone totally Ozark. Use that term. Anyway, so you can wind it in by hand just like this. So you just milk it in, and I've done it where I've rotated it like this, and I've done it where I've also done this. Push it in, move it around, hold it, push it in, move it around, hold it, push it in, move it around, hold it. I'm trying to keep this on camera a bit. Push it in, move it around, hold it, push it in, move it around. And you got to hold it, but not too tight. If you hold it too tight, you'll bend the spring, which doesn't work. I could use a spring winder, but in this case, this is in case you're short one spring winder. Oh, see, I'm not paying attention here. I may have lost it here. Just get my thumb in there like that and go for a recovery. The recovery move. There we go. Gotta stop talking and start working. I just put a video online of the disassembly of this watch. I've cleaned most of it. Like I said, I still have a little tiny bit left to go. I just need to do that main plate and then lift some of the cap jewels off. I'm hoping this doesn't fly off and turn me into a liar, but I usually have these below my hands. I don't like the way that went in there. Yeah, this is a hard part near the end where you got to be really careful, because you can screw it up big time. got to kind of hold it and get your thumbs out of the way while you wind it in. And I'm just going to do that. There we go. There's the spring in the barrel. Done by hand. And that's, once you get used to it, it's a whole lot faster actually doing it this way than it is doing it by putting it in a spring winder. And it's flat and it's working. And then when you're finished that, again, I don't know if you want to be a purist here and you're doing a very expensive watch, then probably you need to not do this by hand, or if it's someone else's watch. I don't plan on selling this, so I have no issue with that. And put a little bit of, and like I said before, I was watching this video on an old watch factory, and I was watching them put in the mainsprings, and nobody had gloves on. Look at that, eh? Nobody had finger cots or gloves or anything. And they were putting all these watches on together without any of that. So maybe that just guarantees that you have to go for servicing after, because they're all screwed up, right? So I gotta poke this here. I gotta get myself some one of these Jobby Doohickeys. And you gotta say Jobby Doohickey is a proper term. The proper term. It's not just Jobby Doo. It's not just Hickey. It's Jobby Doohickey. So there, that's like that. And now I've got to put the collet back, or the mainspring arbor back in place, and look at which way it goes. So first let's put the oil away. And sometimes I don't videotape all of this because it's just too much farting around and the audience loses its desire to watch, which I don't blame them. So putting the mainspring arbor in, you got to make sure it's going in the right direction to catch the mainspring. And I think it's this way. Got to pick this thing up. It's why it's causing me issues here. Yeah, it's this way, like that. And then it goes into place, and you got to rotate it until it goes in the right place. I like to get the arbor close to where the hole is in the mainspring, and that way I'm not having to fart around with it too much later. So that's in there now, and if I rotate this, I should be able to snap it into place. I think that might be in place right now. Yep, that's in place. So then all you need to do is put the barrel cap back on. And it doesn't matter actually where you put that barrel cap, because there's no marks on it or anything if you're putting the barrel cap on. So, but you might want to put a little oil on that first before you put it on. And that'll allow the barrel to move more freely. So I don't want the arbor or the mainspring arbor to pop back out, so I'll put that over one of the holes like that. And then it might be a little bit dark. I may have to adjust this video so it's a little lighter. Can I do that while it's live? Let me see. Brightness. Yeah, I can liven it up a bit. I'll brighten it up a bit and then I'll shade it down later. So you're able to do that while it's live. That's pretty cool. Anyway, that's the arbor's in place now, and I want to put a little tiny bit of oil where that cap would rest. And you don't need very much, because you're just making sure that there's not a lot of friction there. And as that rotates, that'll spread the oil around like that, and then I can just pop the barrel back on, or the barrel cover back on, like so. And I'll grab that with my fingers. I think I bought a barrel cap putter honor device. Let me see if I can find that. So there's my barrel cap putter honor device. I highly doubt if this will actually work And I'm not sure which way you use it. This way or the other way? Push like that or the other way? I don't know. Let me see. Not quite sure. I think you put it on, I think you throw it on this way and then you push down like that on the barrel cap and that goes in. Do I trust this device? I'll just pick it up and tighten it with my fingers first, and then throw it in after to see if there's any value to this device. I think that the barrel cap is way too small for doing that kind of thing. I can just put it in very simply like this, and then when you're finished this, you use your tweezers to secure it. So you take your tweezers on the top like that and you press down. There we go. Snap. So the barrel is in. So that's the mainspring done. I think you throw this in like this though. Like you throw it in like that. There's a hole in the middle and you go like this and you press down like that. I think that's how that works. And I think this has got a conic or cone or something in it, and it's got the hole in the top and it's got a hole in the bottom, so you can't, it's like just snap it down like that. So that's the barrel cap installation device. I just need more training on that before I use it in the public eye. What is this little thing here? What the heck? There's always something on the mat. So there you go. So that's the barrel cap device. We just put this back. I'll throw that in with all my tools because I probably will end up using it at some point in time. There we go, the barrel cap device. Put that up there. And now I don't need this anymore, except I do need it to get behind the jewel of this here. So I think I need to darken my videos a bit now because they're a bit light right now. There we go. Bam! Auto exposure is not good. Auto lighting might work better than anything. Here, let me just turn this off. Sorry about the interruption in lighting. Anyway, so there's the case. I'm thinking I got to use, this is plastic, but I think I'm going to have to use this this here to clean the main bridge here of the watch. Throw a little bit of lighter fluid in there and go for it. Not sure if that'll be better than anything else, but it'll evaporate pretty fast. Now if this lighter fluid ends up going right through the plastic case here, I'm in deep shit. So what I do when I do that is just brush it and hold it down with a toothpick and stay away from some of those pressed in jewels that might cause a problem. And make sure I've just got all the old oils and grimes off of it. Turn that around. I'll have to take off these cap jewels again to get under there and clean that. But that might be something I got to do under the microscope. So, and I got to peg out the holes, and I've got to rodico out the part. So that's good there. And again, I don't want to use that cloth again. I had cloth underneath this for drying. Well, I do and I don't. I ended up hitting the cloth and then parts flew off and I ended up on the floor trying to find some parts with my glasses. I hate doing that. It's such a pain. There. I did use the cloth. Then I'll throw the case in there now and see if I can clean that up a bit. Alright, where's my brush? Here it is. Yeah, it's a nice old case. These things are solid too. I said such a Canadian thing to say. Okay. Solid, solid, solid. Now the main case with the gold on it, I can't clean up this way because the lighter fluid will get into the, probably it's a plastic crystal, and it'll get into the plastic crystal and other things, causing other kinds of problems. The other thing is I should have a glove on here to grab this with so I can do the back. So let me go acquire myself a glove. I don't have my on the air sign, so my wife's going to come up here and realize that I'm talking to myself. So let me get a glove really quickly. Look behind me and see if there's any. Good one there. Glove. And I do the Bugs Bunny on this glove. That's where you blow it out with your wind, your heavy wind. I don't think I said I think I said I wouldn't show any cleaning, but I did. Showing some cleaning here, which is okay, I guess. I just want to get some of this stuff on the top. So it's always important either to put a mask on when you're using lighter fluid or stay away from the top of it so you're not breathing it. I'm not using a lot of it right now, and I'm not going to breathe it for very often or for very long. See, I've already started forgetting how to speak. It's again, people, when you make mistakes with words or speaking or whatever, people attribute that to old age. And I remember when I was younger and I couldn't spell and stuff like that, and I was definitely not old. So I did have other skills, like I was an engineer, so obviously I knew math and other technical things. So I'm going to rest that on a piece of paper over on the side here and let that rest. And I don't think there's any more plates I need to do. I already did that plate, the plate over there, and all the rest of these parts are done. So there's quite a lot of grime in this. I should do the crown, although I don't want to get into the glue part of the crown because that will be issues. There will be issues doing that. Let me just paint my fingers here. Hand cleaning. I've read all kinds of books about hand cleaning and stuff that people use and everything, and the old guys just say use lighter fluid, benzene or naphtha, and it works. That's the difference. So I said, why would you use anything else? Look at all the dirt that this thing has collected. So I'll set that aside and I will get rid of it later. It's not enough. That's going to become a disaster, an ecological disaster. So just put that away here. Hopefully no sparks click it, because it'll do a impersonation of the dog. It'll woof. And I found another screwdriver. So there we go. Back off a bit here. And so we got this stuff cleaning over on the side here. The stem and the plate cleaning away. And I need to wait till that's good before I start unscrewing stuff. This one here I'm very curious about. I think I'm going to do this under the microscope because I don't want to address this the way it is. Could be issues. So let's just put that aside for now, and we'll let that stuff dry, and we'll come back a little later. Alright, I broke down, and I'm going to just show you the removal of the caps here that are on these jewels. This is the cap jewel for perhaps the escapement. I have to look at it closely here. So it's straight down, so I suspect that's the cap jewel for the escapement would be right here. That'd be the balance here, and this would be the balance cock right here, and this would be the escapement. So I was right. It's the balance. It's the jewel for the escapement. So just loosen that. In this case, these are so small that I may want to just use a piece of Rodico to remove them. So let me just pause that for. I've got my little piece of Rodico here. I'm trying to be quiet because I'm pretty close to the mic. If I twist this, there we go. Takes the jewel out, and you'll see how small these jewels are, or these screws. So there's the screw right there. There's my finger. So those are extremely small jewels. Very, very difficult to work with. I said jewels, I meant screw, sorry. And there's the cap right there. So I can take this cap off, and I'll be cleaning that. Turn that the other way. And what I do to clean that is to, man, this thing looks pretty clean. No, I can't peg this hole out, it's way too small. But the Rodico will go into the hole. Detailed work. Detailed work. I'm a-telling you, it's detailed work. One thing I don't like about this mat is that it's maybe too smooth, and I'm having a hard time. Yeah, there. So and then I take the back end of a piece of pegwood, or actually, because of the size of this, I'm going to take the pointy end here and just scrape that over the cap, like so. I don't think I can peg the hole out here with this. I'll have a look at it. No, it's way too small. You couldn't get a piece of wood in there, but I'll rub the top of it anyway to get rid of any leftover oil in there. And then I've got to take my oiler and I want to oil the top of that, but that's going to be way too difficult to oil and flip, so I'm going to see if I can oil the top of this jewel like that. Just the slightest bit of oil on that, and then I have to just rotate that cap again. Like this, and then put that back in place. I notice you never see really old guys working at Rolex. Probably because they're too shaky by the time they get to a certain age. These finger cuts are making my fingers fall asleep. So they're way too big. So I'm better off just grabbing one of my gloves, which I have, and just put the glove on. That's what I'll do. I gotta go grab some gloves after though. There, switch to the black gloves. They're much more comfortable. And I might do this in fast motion because it's really not that exciting. I just do one and then skip over and I do all the other ones. That little screw to hop. Where the heck did it hop to though? These screws are so small that you breathe on them and they're gone. This watch has got a lot of jewels in it. If I do the jewel count on it, I get this plate to come up here. There we go. Yeah, if I were to do the jewel count on it, which I think I'll do after, I'll show you how many jewels it has. And I look at these and I just look at the reflection to see how much dirt is on them. But again, like I said before, if you take a lot of white, it's like totally white. This thing is whited out. Probably the light matte doesn't help you with this whiteout problem I got with the camera. Someday I'll get myself a really nice advanced camera that can zoom in nicely, but for now this will do. So what I need to do is just clean the top of this jewel. And I can see a little bit of dirt on it from the reflection. This mat is good for non-stick. And let me look at that jewel hole, because if I can peg this out, great. If I can't, too bad. I don't think I can. No, I can't peg that out. That's way too small. I did clean it earlier, so. You can peg out jewels on a pocket watch, but these watches are just try to get as much of the crud as possible. And that jewel will rest against the cap, so if you've cleaned the cap properly, then you're not going to have as many problems. If you clean the cap properly, then the pivot on the jewel just rests against the cap and you've got no issues. A little bit of oil there. And just moving my oil containing thingamajobby out of the way, so. And again, it's just hard to pick stuff up with this mat. I may have to change back to my old mat, which was a lot easier because it had more personality. It's a heck of a lot easier, actually. This one here, I don't like doing this. I have to press down on one side, and you're likely to flip the part around, which is not good. And then breathing's not easy either here. That's why I like working on pocket watches. they're big enough that I don't have to hold my breath. But this is kind of fun too. It's my version of fun. Oh, you little bugger. I actually think I had it backwards. I think I had it backwards, ladies and germs. So it was not the watch's fault, it was my fault. Just clean up the oil on that. And then re-oil. I do think I had it backwards. I'll have to check the video after and see. Because it did look a little bit backwards. It's too much oil. So once again, if you pull your oil out slowly, you get less oil. And there's the exact perfect amount of oil. If you have too much oil, it's going to just gob your watch down. If you have too little oil, it's not going to lubricate properly. And you don't want the oil to travel, so that's another thing. So there we go. Now, just screw this down here. I'm going to hold this in place with a see how easy that was? So that's 2 joules. Of course the video is dark again. I'm not sure what's happening here with the darkness and the lightness. It just keeps changing here. Had a little bit brighter here, which is so you can see what the heck I'm up to. But and then you put your hand in the middle and it gets dark again. That's because it's not meant for the micro work, I don't think. So anyway, so I changed these. I oiled that. I oiled this one here, and so these are good. So I can probably put that back into movement. I think I'm good on this side. I'll oil the barrel after the barrel's in. And this thing says UT199. So is that a Unitas 199 movement? I think it is. Try to find one though on the internet that you can look at as a reference. It's almost impossible. So UT199. Alright, so I'm going to take the other plate here that I have, and I'm going to go ahead and remove the jewels on this plate and try to actually put them back. This one here. So we go at that and back in a few minutes. Alright, for these 3 wise guys, I'm going to remove all 3 screws. And then the associated plate. And again, I'm going to use my Rodico to pick these things up because I think it's probably safer. And all 3 of these are exactly the same, so I don't think I'm going to have a problem. I can see a little chunk of oil on the top of this one. So I need to clean that up, but I think I can just remove all 3 and then start working on them. What do you think? I think I'm right. The trick is to keep your fingers away from the screws so you don't carry them off the mat onto some other place. So I'm going to move these out of the way and move this out of the way. So that's the closest one. This is much easier to do when you're off camera. I've said this a million times, but patience is a virtue. 1, 2. These are interesting that they have actually these plates that are these cap jewels that are on a bridge. 1, 2, 3, and then turn this around. I'm just going to grab this with the Rodico and turn it around. That was plate 2, or 3 rather. This one here. 3. I'm trying to match the screws up even though it might not be necessary, and then 2 is kind of in the middle here, so I'll just grab 2. There's my finger, just to give you an idea how small this stuff is. Micro work. And there's this one here. Turn them the other way so I can see where the dried up oil is. And I'm just gonna, these jewels look like they're in pretty good shape, and again, you can't peg these things out, they're too small. But there's no friction on that at all, probably. So I'll just use Rodico to see if I can pick up any leftovers. And then to put these things back in place, I've got 1, 2, 3, so I think 1, 2, 3. So, and I had them like this, so that's the first one there. So this is the first one here. So I have to take this, and I can see a little bit of dried out oil in the middle. So I take my one toothpick and then hold it in place, and take the other toothpick and then get rid of that dried up oil. There, 1. In this case, I'm trying to figure out how to oil this thing. I guess I have to oil the other side of the jewel and then place it down, right? And it's sort of concave. There's an indent there, so it should, the oil will stay where it is, so that should work. I know that if I put the oil there and put the jewel on top and then turn it around, maybe it'll work, right? Let me try that out. So, a little bit of oil. That was this one here, that's way too much oil. I'll put a little less oil. There we go. And I'm going to do something interesting. I'm actually put oil on the right where the plate is, and that might allow me to the for the cap bridge to stick on. Alright, there's number 1. Now if I turn this around and it falls out, then I gotta start over again. No, that worked. That's number 1. That's too white. Again, white. There we go, all 3 screws are back in. And the bridges are all on the top again. There we go. So those are all oiled and cleaned. Get that lighting right someday. And ready to go. That's all she wrote, man. That's all she wrote. So that was a good job. And now I can commence. I guess the last thing I gotta do, bridge I gotta do, is this one here. So this is the bridge for the balance, or the balance cock. So, and this one here has got a regulator arm on one side, as you can see. Right, there's a regulator arm. So I'm going to undo this screw here and then rotate this out of the way to free up the bridge. So I'm going to undo the inside screw and then twist it the other way to free up the bridge. Not sure how much pressure I need to put on this thing to... There we go. Oh, sorry, I moved the camera there. I'm pretty friggin' close. Alright, my screwdriver slipped and that screw is now gone somewhere. There it is there. Do not lose that screw. Now, if I loosen the other one, there's a possibility that I might be able to just rotate that out of the way. So let's see if I can loosen that successfully. Okay, that's loosened. So now I got no screw on this side and a screw on the other side. So I should be able to rotate this bridge. Got to figure out which direction I want to rotate it in. How about this way? And there we go. So now that's clear on this side and I can oil the other side. It's a trick I figured out a little while ago. And I can also get in with my pegwood here just to clean the top of this off a bit. And then check the reflection to make sure I got it. And it looks like I do, which is great. And then flip that around. This is so much easier than how I used to do this. This is kind of micro work, so I might just show the micro work and then reassemble and then show the final result. Because this is the work that that is the hardest part of watchmaking, I think anyway. Yeah, this is like so small. And I just want to tap the Rodico there a few times. Like that. And then I'm going to oil, try not to move the camera too much. And I'm going to oil that jewel, but not with too much oil because it'll bog down. I need to turn that a bit to oil it properly. Alright, I think I got a little bit of oil in that hole there. It's not the best way to oil it, but it's not too bad though. The main part is that it's cleaned up. There's a bit of oil on there and it should do. So let me just flip this around again. Have a look at how much oil I put on there. Could probably do it a little bit more. Not the best technique, but it works. There we go. Steady the camera a bit. And now I'm going to move this around. I think the lighting is actually pretty good right now. Hopefully this turns out okay. If it doesn't, I'll just remove it from YouTube. So I just swing this back in place like so. Look through the little window on the top jewel and it looks fine. And I have to flip this around. And then grab the world's smallest screw. and with the greatest of dexterity put this in place. It's funny how the lighting works when my head's in certain places, but I'm not sure if this is lit well enough or not. But the art of turning a screw around. There we go. And just like last time, if I hold that with the piece of wood, it's going to be less trouble. Alright, that screw flew right out. That didn't work. Let's try that again. Having some fun here. When in doubt, just keep doing it. Okay, that's good. It caught the bridge that time. Screw it a bit and then back it off and then screw it a bit more. There we go. That's both sides. So that's the bridge, and that's oiled and done. So there you go. So I don't know how many minutes I have so far, but probably way too many. So this is the we'll call this part 2. Why don't we call this part 2, and I'll end this here, and I'll do the reassembly and testing in part 3, so this video is not way too long. So that's part 2, so let's just stop this here because I'm getting a bit tired, and want to complete the rest of it a little bit later. But you can see how I did that and how I took the screws out and put the oil on there, and I had cleaned those already. Could have probably taken the caps off and then threw the whole lot into lighter fluid or something, because that's how I clean the watches. But it'll do. The escapement one is good now, or the balance one that really balance cock complete goes in there, and the pivots for the balance go in for the balance staff. So that's good. And I've done the barrel already. I showed you that earlier. There's Mr. Barrel here. So that one is done and dusted. And what else? I did the wheels earlier. I cleaned those, and I also put the balance. Here's the balance complete. So I put the balance in lighter fluid, and it's turned out pretty darn good. And I will demagnetize this as well later on, so it doesn't stick. The best test here is if I take the collet for the balance, and then I just pull it. We just pull it one way, and then let it go. And does it go? If it goes back, great. If it sticks, then I got a problem with the spring. So, and it looks like it's perfect. There's no issues there at all. And I don't remember whether I marked things or not. I didn't move the collet, so I don't have to mark anything. So I'll just reassemble this maybe tomorrow morning when I'm a little more patient than I am now. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this one today. It's a little bit not that exciting. I think this put my wife asleep earlier when she was watching my earlier video. It's always good to end a video with a large audience, and I'm glad that you could all make it tonight. I'd like you to give yourself a round of applause for showing up for this video. The video was very detailed. It had a lot of interesting work on cap jewels, and it had a lot of plate work in there, and some other things that are rather interesting. And there will be a part 3 where I reassemble this watch, and and I hope you enjoy it, and I hope all you folks down there enjoy it as well. And I'll make sure you subscribe to my videos and leave your comments if you can. And what a great audience. What a great audience.